Okay. I'm not even sure where to start with this video because I have a lot I want to say, but not really at the same time. This video is about the H3 crew, starting with the topic of Olivia, who is on a mental health break, but some people, myself included, think this is her departure from the show entirely. Long overdue, in my opinion, but better late than never, I suppose. And really, I just wanted to talk about the crew a little bit and Ethan's overall behavior. Personally, I never could have worked for Ethan Klein. Not that he was asking me to, obviously. Just from the outside looking in, and the things he does say and do, I am including all of his online behavior, all of the harassment he has levied at other people, his Instagram posts, just all of the disgusting shit he has said. I personally could not have continued to be associated with Ethan Klein. No matter how good the paycheck was, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. The crew is simply built different than I am, I suppose. I'm not going to sit here and be like, they should quit their job, they need to leave. I'm not going to pretend that I know their individual situations and where they stand, I guess, but it really does seem like the crew just doesn't care about Ethan's behavior. If you look at some of the times he says certain inappropriate things on the show, the crew may get uncomfortable. Some of them may get uncomfortable, but they still just continue to laugh along with Ethan and joke with him and gas him up, essentially. There's nothing that suggests to me that they have serious disagreements with Ethan or serious disagreements with his behavior and his beliefs. They may, it's possible, but unless they distance themselves from Ethan and make a public denouncement of him and his behavior, it's going to be hard for me to believe that they don't just agree with Ethan, or at the very least, it wasn't a deal breaker. Obviously, the genocide in Gaza is the most serious stuff, but even taking a step back and looking at some of Ethan's behavior with just other content creators, it's incredibly inappropriate, and I just don't understand how they've continued to be associated with him, other than it didn't bother them. For example, all of the stuff he has said about iDubbbz and Anissa, none of that has been a deal breaker. Even before October 7th, even going back and looking at Ethan's behavior, it was never something that was seemingly a concern to them, at least not enough for them to distance themselves from Ethan or leave the podcast or whatever. I've never been an H3 fan. I didn't watch the show. The little exposure I've had to Ethan over time, I did not like. But when I did encounter the show, the parts that I most enjoyed were the interactions of the crew and what they contributed to the show. I think the crew in some ways doesn't recognize their own position on the show, and that if they had left, the show would have been losing something. But again, I'm not going to sit here and say that they should leave or they should have left or whatever. I don't necessarily think that's my place. All I can really say is what I would do. And I would have left a long time ago. In my opinion, 2 years is more than enough time to try and sort out some sort of alternative, to get your affairs in order, to downsize, to rebudget, to do whatever it is you need to do in order to move on from the H3 podcast. The crew has chosen not to do this. And if they choose to do so now, while I think that is great, again, for me personally, I'm at the point where I need some sort of public statement saying you don't support Ethan and you don't agree with him. Anything short of that, I'm really going to just assume that you finally got uncomfortable enough yourself that you felt the need to leave. It wasn't an issue until it started to affect you. It does certainly paint a certain picture of who you are. At best, the crew are cowards who are afraid to cross Ethan, to leave Ethan, or afraid to take a leap of faith and strike out on their own. Or at worst, they are people who just agree with Ethan or don't really care what he has to say. Don't care about his harassment that he has levied at other content creators, some of which are friends with members of the crew. That was not a deal breaker for them. I guess my overall point is just I don't want the crew to just be able to leave the show and have people give them so much grace and the benefit of the doubt that they forget everything that they did stay through. That we forget everything that Ethan has done over the last 2 years, and the fact that the crew sometimes defended Ethan, sometimes just hyped him up, sometimes didn't say anything to contradict him, just let him say whatever the fuck he wanted. I don't think that should be forgotten. I don't think that was a small act, in my opinion. I don't think that was simply we're in our jobs and we have no options. I think they did have choices. They chose not to take them. They chose the route of least resistance, and they chose the route of self-preservation. That's it. Admittedly, there have been some crew members I have been, I guess, disappointed in, or I expected a little bit more from them when it came to this topic and standing their ground a little bit more. Other than that, I guess the crew is ultimately allowed to make their own decisions, obviously. I am nobody to them, so who cares what I think? But I am allowed to judge them for said decisions based on the knowledge I have available to me. Based on that knowledge, I think it's pretty pathetic and cowardly how long they have stayed at Ethan's side. The things they have put themselves through, and it's going to be hard to come back from that. I do think that had many of these crew members left early on, they could have had a successful career of their own.
I think I misunderstood what happened, and I don't want to do this anymore.
Wait, what?
What do you mean?
Some of them do have channels of their own that they could have dedicated their time to, and I think that they would have had a significant amount of support had they left early on and made it clear they did not agree with Ethan or support Ethan. But they made their choice, and I just hope that people remember that. But that's all I really have to say on this subject. I could go on for a while about my opinions on the crew, to be honest with you. I'm just going to say that I think that continuing to work for Ethan was the worst decision. But other than that, feel free to give the video a like for me if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. Do you think the crew deserves more grace than I am giving them? Maybe they do. I just don't think so at this point. But let me know what you think. I am curious to hear what other people have to say on this subject, so let me know down below. And hit that subscribe button for me. I love it when numbers go up. You love it when numbers go up. Please and thank you. That's really all I have. Check out my links down below. Follow me on other platforms. And I will see you guys later. So thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself. Free Palestine. And goodbye.